Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Ham Nation is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by DX Engineering. DX Engineering offers practically everything you need to outfit your shack, plus the fastest shipping in the industry. In-stock items ship the same day, Monday through Friday until 10 p.m. Eastern. For more information, visit dxengineering.com/hamnation. And by ICOM. For more information, visit icomamerica.com/hamnation.
This is Ham Nation, episode number 268 for October 5th, 2016. Wires, Fires, and DX Fun. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Ham Nation. Bob Heil is not with us tonight. Neither is Don Wilbanks. I'm George Thomas, W5JDX. And we've got some of the regulars with us tonight. International Man of Mystery, Gordon West. Say hello, Gordon.
We hope we're regular, and good evening, George, and all those on the chat room, and to our WTWW frequency 5085 kilohertz gang. We're happy to be with you. Back to you, George.
And you're right, Gordo. I'm listening over here right now. Well, I turned it down. You know, they always tell you to turn it down when you're going to go on the air. But, yeah, welcome everyone listening via shortwave tonight. Glad to have y'all aboard as well. And we've got the queen of DX with us again tonight, Valerie. Hi, Val.
Hey, George. I'm doing good here in Illinois. I'm going to have a really fun segment on how to really make contesting a lot more fun. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that.
Okay. And, of course, we've got Amanda with us as well. And I understand you're going to be talking about more than just the chat room tonight. You're going to bring us up to date on what you've been up to lately.
Well, you're right. Not only am I going to be doing chat room, and I am paying attention to you guys out there, taking your questions for Val, George, and Gordo tonight. We're also going to talk about the fire we're currently helping on here in Colorado. Another one. I know you guys. We just can't get them out of our state. Snow can't come soon enough. Anyhow, we'll be going over the recent one here about 50 miles away from home.
Okay. Well, we are always sorry to hear of fire events, but we're fortunate to have people like you and all the great volunteers in ham radio that help during emergencies like this. Well, we've got some fun things lined up tonight. Oh, by the way, there is a new show on television that unfortunately, it's featuring ham radio as part of the theme in it. And as I say, unfortunately, it's coming on Tuesday night at 8 Central, or Wednesday night at 8 Central here, same time as Ham Nation. So we know all hams will be tuned in here and won't be watching it, but you might want to TiVo it. It's Frequency. If you remember the movie Frequency, there's a new TV series out now on the CW network that is picking up the story on that. So I've got it recording. We'll go watch that later and see how it turns out. Interesting looking rig on there, by the way. We'll have to find out what that is. I think it may be a Hollywood prop. I don't know. What do you think, Gordo?
Well, I don't know, but I hope that rig works in case the high waters come. And you know, George, we've got a big week in ham radio. First of all, everyone, I hope that you're guarding 14.325 and listening in on both 20 and 40 meters for outbound health and welfare traffic. I mean, take a listen just earlier today.
Today in the northwestern Bahamas tonight. Hurricane conditions are expected to first reach the hurricane.
Well, yeah, the Hurricane Watch Net is big time. And again, thanks to those operators doing such a great job on 14,325, as well as down on 40 meters. Next week, on the last man standing stage, on October 11th, John Amadeo says that Ed and Amy, now they're the D-Star experts, they're going to be on the show, and you can talk with them directly on the set of Last Man Standing, October 11th, on Reflector 30 Charlie, 30C. And Amanda, next week we've set aside the entire week for Fire Prevention Week. Thanks to Jody as well as Tracy for keeping me up to date on that. For those operating, if you hear call signs beginning with N1 or N6 or N9 with one letter F for fire, that is the Fire Prevention Special Event Stations. Wild cards will be KF2IRE as in fire, as well as VE3 FIRE. And if you work enough of the stations, you get a special certificate. So tune in 20 and 40 meters for those that are operating the special event stations, plural, for Fire Week this coming week. And then coming up, weekend after this coming up weekend is October 14, 15, and 16. Bob Heil and I and Randy and who knows who else will all be at PacificCon. And many of our valued net control operators will be there as well. So see you at PacificCon weekend after next. That's also Jamboree on the Air. So if you've got scouts and you got kids, get them on the air. And finally, end of the month, Limark, Long Island Mobile Amateur Radio Club, is hosting their big ham fest on Sunday in Hicksville on October 30th, day before Halloween. That's Sunday. So if we may, let's go to the short shots because they're very interesting tonight, and we'll tell you why. So if we could, let's roll the short shots. And we're going to talk about our ham radio service as well as licensing. And you know, when we hold these ham radio classes, it's great for the instructor to say, yep, we got 30 that passed the test out of 30 that took the test and so on. But more important, I want to know, are they getting on the air? So if you're teaching a class, for heaven's sake, bring stuff to get them on the air. And as you can see, the pile of stuff off to the right, this is what makes classes fun and what motivates hams to not only pass the test, but get on the air. Once we stop into some of the instructor classes, we know that they're going to be doing a lot more than having just blank tables that the students will be sitting at. And there's plenty of materials that they can get ahead of time. And, of course, you got to have the stuff and a live radio because beside just teaching hams to pass the test, here's Pastor Jason Gant, W6AUX, we're teaching them how to play radio, all forms of radio. So get out there with that homebrew T-Hunt antenna. South Orange Amateur Radio Association is building those a couple Saturdays from now on their Super Saturdays. And do a little T-hunting. Talk about radios and the importance of making sure that those students who have a radio, that they get it programmed before they leave the class or the exam site. There's so many radios, each one is different, that we can't expect any one ham instructor to know how to program them all. Turn those hams on to stuff that they thought had gone away, such as a tube-type television. Amateur television, you'll see it behind me when we come back here, is always something big. In fact, many municipalities really enjoy teaming up with hams that can bring them live pictures in an emergency. And certainly, those of you on the Atlantic coast, we are thinking about you this weekend as well as next Monday and Tuesday. Turn those hams on to digital, and in class, give them some digital work. And, of course, the simple dipole for high frequency. You know, people say, hey, I just passed my tech license and I'm ready to go and study for general. And I say, no, don't buy the Gordo book for general. Don't buy it for extra. Rather, with your brand new tech license, get on the air. Get your nose out of any upgrade, because you don't deserve to upgrade until you spend tons of hours on the VHF, UHF, and of course the 10-meter band, as well as CW on 15, 40, and 75. So here we are building a dipole. You can homebrew a beam antenna that Chip K7JA puts together. Regularly puts together his own. Get that antenna up, and if you're teaching at a class that allows you to get an antenna outside, play it up and get the students excited. This is what we're going to do for Quartz Fest 2017. That's about the third week in January, and we don't have talking heads. We have all live demos in the middle of the desert floor. And that's where we can really experiment with different antennas. And don't say, oh, I just have a dipole. Let me tell you, in our tests at Quartz Fest, that dipole does a great job over what would be a well-grounded mobile whip. So dipoles are okay. And here's another dipole. So dipoles are good. Get on the air with a dipole. I mean, you can make it out of any kind of wire, just about, a little bit of coax or twin lead, and you're on the air. So do a lot of demo and get kids involved, especially weekend after next for JODA. Jamboree on the Air offers a great opportunity for seasoned hams to get kids on the air, try different bands, and let them say hi. One station to listen for JODA is K0D. That's Camp Hope, and they're going to be on the air. So get those kids on the air. They are our future. And the kids want gee-whizzy stuff. Set somebody up with an APRS beacon and let them walk around and let the other kids track them. APRS, a big deal. And, of course, CW. We always have a CW key where kids can pound away, and then after a while, we have them actually sending their name. And bring hams over to your shack. And at first, when they pull up and they go, oh, my God, what the heck is that on the roof? Then you explain about antennas. And, of course, whoever has the most antennas, as George will tell you, win. Well, until Valerie comes on, and she's got more antennas than anyone. And take them over to a nice, neat ham shack where the bench is. Well, that's Jim. He's my buddy across the street. He can fix anything, and he loves showing folks how to get it done. So that's a neat thing, just like Randy's videos. And, of course, introduce your ham team to live computer images as signals. And this keeps everything really excited. Oh, wow, look at that ham shack. Talk about neat. And right now, again, all the hams are tuned in to the Hurricane WatchNet, 14.325 during the day. 40 meters, I hear some of them, 7268. But give the Hurricane Watch folks this weekend your undivided attention. And resist calling net control to tell them that you've got an anemometer and you're ready to roll. No, the net controller is in charge of that net and generally only taking hurricane reports from those stations out in the field. And, of course, in an emergency, the Hurricane WatchNet will immediately handle that emergency. So get kids involved with ham radio. When they pass the test, tell them, no, don't even get involved with studying for general, but rather get on the air. And if you've got an old computer, holy smoly, look at this. This came from Amanda was, maybe it was my old one, but this is fun stuff, especially when you get kids involved. And you'll find that they really know how to work the computers well. And live demos, nothing better. That's what we're going to be doing up at PacificCon. We actually have a class just for Elmers and instructors on how to teach kids to do different things. And here we are getting them on the air. And that's a really important thing. And, of course, we got to have a little bit of fun. The Visalia DX convention, Chip and Janet, Dan and Kristen, I mean, you got to have fun as ham radio operators. We can't be serious all the time. And, well, they aren't. And, of course, Leo. there's a non-serious guy. I sure hope you tune in his AM broadcast show on Saturday and Sunday. There's always stuff to learn from the man that knows just about everything there is about computers and cell phones. And we're hoping to get Leo on the air shortly. So for those of you that are not able to get to one of my instructor classes, we've got a web page coming up. You sign in and you're going to get your own materials like this. From the W5YI instructor program, you get my book absolutely free of charge on ideas on teaching ham classes, homework, band charts, all of this free for those instructors that register. So to register for the ham instructor program to receive all of this material, we'll have very shortly the www address, and that's where you go to learn more about it. So here it is, the Welcome Ham Radio Instructors, www.haminstructor.com. Log in, sign in with a password, and then convert that password to your own personal password, and you'll be ready to roll. So Gordo here saying, again, let's this weekend try and do as much as we can by tuning the bands, especially 20 meters during the day, with the antennas in the direction of the devastation that this Hurricane Matthew is going to probably wreak havoc on a lot of the coastal towns. Tune around because you may want to find someone looking for outbound traffic. Be hesitant when we're over here on this side of the coast to have a neighbor ask us if we can make a contact to someone that they're worried about. No, it's very hard to even try and get traffic into a disaster area. And Amanda will be talking about that, I'm sure. So take traffic out of the area. If anything, get on the air and just say, do we have any station with emergency traffic, health and welfare that we can relay outside of the hurricane area? Again, tune in 14.325 and hear what a great job the Hurricane Net is doing. So that's my story. And again, if you're a brand new technician, don't even think about asking me for the general book or the extra book, because I'll say, no, you can't get started on upgrading until you've been on the air as a real ham. I hope the rest of you, especially in the chat room, agree. We need more than just a paper license. We need hams that actually know how to run their gear and explore the airwaves. So that's my story. And George, I'll turn it back to you. Thanks for rolling the whole show tonight. Go ahead.
Okay, Gordo, and I'm glad to hear you say that. You know, I see people all the time and hear from people who have just got their technician license and they say, I'm going to take my general in 2 weeks. And I say, wait, slow down. I mean, you can do that, but if you skip over what you get with technician, you're going to miss a big part of ham radio, because VHF and UHF is a lot of fun. I spent, I don't know, at least 15 years there before I ever upgraded. You know, it's just a lot of fun going on there that if you try to jump straight to general or extra, you might miss a really good part of ham radio. So, yeah, get on the air. That's the main thing. Well, Don Wilbanks is not with us, but he has some important information for us.
Well, for the time being, it's still warm outside, but winter is coming, and Old Man Winter will mess with your hands. Do not spend the winter fumbling around outside with numb fingers. Get your antennas in tip-top shape now before the cold weather hits, and DX Engineering has everything you need for that. Tower maintenance and antenna gear to ensure that your antenna system is ready for a long season of winter DX, where it's nice and warm inside with the tubes. Philistrand guy lines and accessories are the go-to guy lines for both amateur and professional commercial installations. The guy lines are constructed of a super strong aramid fiber. The best part is Philistrand guy lines are electrically transparent. That means they will not have an adverse effect on your antenna pattern. Philistrand also offers its big grip dead ends to finish your guy line installation. They're made specifically for Philistrand's non-metallic high-performance guy lines, and they're color-coded for easy identification, and they're galvanized so they're going to resist corrosion. If your cables took a beating this summer, replace them with high-quality DX Engineering coaxial cables. You can create your own assembly, custom-tailored to your application using the new custom cable builder at dxengineering.com. Simple as it can be. Select your cable type and the connector you want, including PL259, SO239, BNC, F. Type N if you prefer to make your own. DX Engineering's high-performance coax is available separately, either by the foot or in bulk spools. And, of course, DX Engineering also carries tons of connectors from Amphenol and Times Microwave. And DX Engineering's bent pin shackles are the perfect way to secure your guy lines to your towers. They're made from forged half-inch steel. They have a minimum ultimate strength well over 12,000 pounds, plenty strong enough for any amateur radio tower guying. Each one is also hot-dip galvanized for excellent corrosion resistance. They have removable pre-bent bolts and locking nuts specifically designed for the outer hole of the matching guy strain insulator. You just fit them around a tower leg or in the appropriate size tower ear or guy line bracket. And these shackles can also be fitted with ceramic insulators. You'll find those sold separately. The insulators make the shackles compatible with both metal or non-metallic guy lines. The shackles comes in packs of 3, as do the optional ceramic insulators. And kits are available that include 3 shackles and 3 insulators. You know what I'm going to say next. DX Engineering ships faster than anybody else in the industry. Believe it. If you get your order in by 10 p.m. Eastern, and if it's in stock, it'll be on a truck headed your way tonight. Proven products, expert advice. DX Engineering literally helps you shrink the globe. Request your catalog or shop online 24/7 at dxengineering.com/hamnation. dxengineering.com/hamnation. DX Engineering, thank you so much for being a part of the Ham Nation family. From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2031, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, October 5th, 2016. The ham radio gear on the International Space Station is in the final stages of getting an upgrade.
For some time, the radio equipment on board the station has needed to be replaced. While new equipment has been graciously donated, significant funding has been needed for testing, certification, and delivery of the equipment to make sure it meets NASA standards. And the post office, well, doesn't have free 2-day shipping to the space station. Frank Bauer, KA3HDO, the ARIS International Program Chair, explains the details.
The interoperable radio system we're developing for the International Space Station will have both the JVC Kenwood D710 radio in it, which will provide higher power and more capability for both the schools, make the contacts more robust, as well as for the hams on the ground. And also, we're working with NASA and the other space agencies to certify this across all of space stations. It's very expensive to test and certify to NASA and the other space agency standards. You know, it's way over $100,000, almost $200,000 to make this happen. At the AMSAT.org website, we have a donate button for ARIS. Anybody that donates $100 or more gets the specially developed ARIS Challenge coin.
Corporate donors should contact Frank Bauer directly at KA3HDO@Verizon.net. Reporting for Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Neil Rapp, WB9VPG.
Even if you're not on HF, you can still make contact with the Last Man Standing soundstage.
Great news if you're a fan of TV's Last Man Standing and also a fan of D-Star. You'll get to enjoy both on the air on Tuesday, October 11th. That's one of the nights the crew shoots the ABC sitcom, and 2 special guests, Ed Woodrick, WA4YIH, and Amy Woodrick, KE4IKF, will be visiting KA6LMS, the set in Studio City, California, during the crew's dinner break. Ed and Amy will be on D-Star via Reflector 30C while seated in the office of the show's main character, Mike Baxter, KA0XTT, played by Tim Allen. So be listening. The fun should last an hour and start at about 22:45 UTC.
Finally this week, the latest in radio scouting.
This week in radio scouting, we have 3 activations of the K2BSA call sign in Iowa, New Jersey, and Ohio. Mike Miller, AC0BD, will be the control operator for the Portable Zero station at Scout Jam held at Camp Antigua in Boone, Iowa on October 8th from 1400 to 2100 UTC. Scout Jam will feature dozens of activities for hundreds of scouts, Tiger through Eagle, and celebrates the 100-year anniversary of scouting in central Iowa. Gary Wilson, K2GW, will be the control operator for the Portable 2 station at Scout Fest 2016 in Lambertville, New Jersey on October 8th from 1300 to 1930 UTC. This all-council event expects attendance at 4,000 participants. Eric Cosi, KD8ZSO, will be the control operator for the Portable 8 station at the Peter Look Camporee in Loveland, Ohio on October 8th from 1400 to 2100 UTC. Hosted by the Dan Beard Council, this biennial event will host 5,500 scouts and scouters and has been in operation since 1927. And remember, Jamboree on the Air is the weekend of October 14th through the 16th. Contact your local radio club, scouting council, or district and see what you can do to help make the 59th JOTA a success. For more information on K2BSA, JOTA resources, and radio scouting, please visit k2bsa.net. For the Amateur Radio Newsline and the K2BSA Amateur Radio Association, this is Bill Stearns, NE4RD.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at www.arnewsline.org. With Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, Jim Dameron, N8TMW, Bill Stearns, NE4RD, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe, I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.
Thanks, Don. We'll be looking forward to seeing you again next week. Don's out cruising the coast tonight where they get their classic automobiles right up and down the Mississippi coastline there. And it's a big event that they do every year, and I know Don really likes participating in that. So maybe he'll bring us a few photos. Well, this week on Smoke and Solder, I've got a little project here that, well, not so much a project as it is how to install a connector. You know, if you've got Ethernet cables around your house, you've got these RJ45 connectors on all your Cat5 cables, but you'll also have them on a lot of your ham microphones too. So many of them are using RJ45s now to connect the microphone to the rig, particularly mobile units. Have you ever wondered, though, how you put one of these on? And these cables are really expensive. Well, tonight I'm going to show you the easy way to do it. We've all seen those super high prices on Ethernet cables at the local store. Well, why would you spend that much money when you can make your own for a fraction of the cost in very short order? Today I'm going to show you how to make Ethernet cables the quick and easy way. What you're going to need is some Cat5 or Cat6 cable. I make most of mine these days with Cat6 since that's the new standard and is going to replace Cat5 eventually. First thing we need to do is strip back some insulation off the wire. We'll strip back several inches here, more than we actually need to go into the connector. We'll score the outer jacket, being careful not to nick the conductors on the inside. Twist it back, break it off, and now we'll untwist the individual conductors. And we untwist them a little further down inside the jacket. Once we've got all the wires untwisted, we'll just use a screwdriver blade to straighten these and to take the remaining kinks out of the cables. The next thing is to put the wires in the order that we'll be fitting them into the connector. Here's a chart that shows the normal order for putting RJ45 connectors on an Ethernet cable. On the left is a diagram for a straight connector. On a normal cable, you will connect both ends like this. On the right is a diagram for wiring a crossover cable. With a crossover cable, one connector is installed in the normal straight order, and the other end is installed as shown here for crossover. Now note that the connectors are shown with the pins facing toward you. First wire is orange-white. That will be followed by orange, then green-white. And we're being careful down here at the bottom that these things aren't very twisted up. After green-white is blue. And then blue-white. And then green. and then brown, white, and brown. Now we'll try to keep these straight, pull them beside each other, and let's double check to make sure we've got them right. Orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, and then brown, white, brown. Now holding the wires side by side like this firmly, we'll twist them back and forth just to kind of give them a little memory in the order that we want them. Now we should have some straight conductors exactly how we need them. We'll take our diagonal cutters and cut these off to about 3/4 of an inch. And you want to be careful that you get them straight across the ends. Now, holding the connector with the pins facing us, we slide the whole group of wires into the connector, and we'll be putting force down so that these stay in order as we go. Slide them up into the connector and check to make sure on both sides that the wire goes all the way to the end. And it does. And when we crimp it, this little pin right here will fold down inside the connector, so we want the insulation to go far enough in that this will crimp into it. Now we'll push the wire up in hard. As we do that, we started out with 3/4 inches of stripped cable. As we push the jacket up, that's become shorter. Next, we'll insert this into our crimping tool, keeping pressure, pushing the jacket in. Crimp the wire. And now we'll look right here and double check again to make sure we've got it right. Orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. And we look to be sure that the wires come all the way to the end of the connector. You can see the conductors right there on the inside. So there's a good connector. Now all we need to do is the other end of the wire, and we've got a cable that costs much less than the ones you find at the store. And it only took a few minutes. Once you've done a few of these, they go pretty quick. The key to making this easy is exposing more wire than you're going to need, and do the bending to make a memory on the wire so they stay in the order they should. And double check that the wires stayed in the order they should when you push them into the connector. If you're making a cable for your rig microphone or some other specialty piece of gear, the wiring may be different than what we showed here. Well, there you go, how to make your own Cat 5 cables. They're really not that difficult. Maybe the first few times you try it might seem kind of tough to get all those wires in the right order when you slide them up in there. But after you've done it a few times, they're real easy and fairly fast to do, too. So, why spend $20 or $30 on a cable at the store that you can make for a couple of bucks yourself? Well, last week I asked a question, and this came from the amateur radio general exam. Which of the following components should be added to an inductor to increase the inductance? And your choices were A, a capacitor in series, B, a resistor in parallel, C, an inductor in parallel, or D, an inductor in series. Well, we got a winner here, and it's John Callan, W7JKC, and John said it's inductors in series. That's what'll increase inductance. That's correct. You're just making the inductor longer. So congratulations, John. DX Engineering is going to be sending you one of these fine 12-foot DXE 8X coaxial patch cables with their custom crimped-on silver-plated PL259s there on the end. Great coax patch cables from DX Engineering. Thanks for that. Congratulations, John. I've got a question for next week, though, and I've got another prize for that. We were talking about the RJ45 connectors tonight. Well, I want to know, what does the designation RJ in RJ45 stand for? If you think you know the answer to that, well, send your answer to me, hamnationcontest@gmail.com, and we're going to give away this MFJ 148RC radio control clock. It's 12 and 24 hours. It's a dual clock, so you can put one for your local time, one for UTC time. It's got a built-in 10-minute ID timer. It synchronizes itself automatically with WWV, so great clock for the Ham Shack. Send your answer to me, hamnationcontest@gmail.com, and you could win. We'll be back in just a moment, but first a message from ICOM.
Attention all hams. Time to hit the airwaves. Contest season is here. Grab your ICOM equipment and make as many contacts as you can this season. Good luck and let the competition begin. The real fun starts here with the revolutionary IC7300. This innovative HF transceiver has a compact design and high performance. It's perfect for contesters on the go. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. Push performance to the pinnacle with the IC7600. Following in the footsteps of ICOM's flagship radio, the IC7600 features intuitive operation and the latest DSP technologies. Digital IF filter, dual DSP, 5.8-inch ultra-wide TFT display, and high-resolution real-time spectrum scope. Contesters, raise the bar with the IC7851. Hear what others cannot with this HF 50 MHz transceiver. Reciprocal mixing dynamic range, crystal clear local oscillator design, real-time spectrum scope, dual receivers, digital voice recorder, and more. Hit the airwaves this contest season and visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on all of ICOM's great radios.
And you can tune in and enter to win after each episode of Ham Nation. Go to icomamerica.com/hamnation. Register for some great swag prizes like T-shirts and hats. And while you're there, learn how you can win in the monthly grand prize drawing for a new radio. And for September, we've got a winner now. The prize was the ICOM ID 51A Plus handheld, analog D-Star near-me repeater function, enhanced DPRS, and a lot more. The winner is Nick, KD9GUG. Congratulations, Nick. I know you're going to like that radio. But we've got another one for October. It's going to be the ICOM ID 5100A dual band, dual watch, VHF, UHF transceiver, analog and D-Star, touchscreen operation, built-in GPS receiver, DV and FM repeater list function, optional Bluetooth unit and Bluetooth headset available, free Android app download, and a lot more. So go to icomamerica.com/hamnation after this and each episode of Ham Nation and register to win. And there's not much time left. If you haven't registered already, we're giving away an IC7300 along with antennas, coax, and power supply from MFJ. Go to amateurlogic.tv/contest. You'll get all the details there on how to register to win that if you haven't done so already. If you have already, don't register again, but we're still taking entries on that. Going to be given away on the 15th on amateurlogic.tv. Great rig there. You certainly want to get in on that because it don't cost you anything, just an email. Well, Val, what have you got for us this week?
Well, I have something really cool that you can do when contesting now, and it's really going to make it a lot more fun, more exciting, and I think it's going to improve your game. And I know a lot of the younger hams will probably really get into this, and the school clubs too. But really, it's for everybody, and hopefully, you guys will start doing this once you see this. So go ahead and roll the tape.
Okay, we all love racing, right? Car racing, horse racing.
Track racing. Everybody loves the action of real-time contests and scores, just like Xbox even offers that for their video games. Well, ham radio contests a little different. Sometimes you have to wait months, even close to a year, to get your results. But not anymore. If you go to cqcontest.net, this is a live contest score server, and it's free, and it's going to let you know how you're doing while the contest is going on compared to everybody else who's logged into the live contest score server. Now, I tell you, when we first learned about cqcontest.net, we were a little leery about joining in there and letting everybody see what our scores were while the contest is going on, but we love it. It's got so many great tools. It's going to help you. You can get everybody in your category, and you can see how many QSOs they have, how many mults they have. You can get breakdown by band. So say you're chasing somebody and they're starting to pull away from you, and you can notice that they're making QSOs on 40 meters while you're still hanging out on 20 meters. So this might be a cue for you to move. As a financial analyst, I love the fact that they have lots of comparison tools and statistics. You can put your call sign in and somebody else that you're chasing or that's chasing you, and you can see how you guys are doing and keep track while the contest is going on. You can pull up the rules right there. All kinds of great tools. Get on there and play around. Now, you don't have to be logged into CQ Contest during your contest to see the scores. Anybody can go in and see how you can see how you're doing compared to everybody else without your scores being in there. So it's open for everybody to look at. But a lot of really cool things, a lot of really great stats, and it really is a good opportunity to give you real-time data so you can do adjustments on the fly in the contest while it's going on, instead of taking notes and saying I shoulda, coulda, woulda, and I'll do this different next year. So again, and it also adds a real element of real-time horse racing, keeps your butt in the chair longer, and it really makes you work harder. It's just a really cool thing. And you look at that. There, we were in a race with N1MM. You can see they passed us up, then we passed them up, then they passed us up, and it just really adds a lot more fun to the game. Now, it's pretty easy to do. It's free. As I said, you just go to cqcontest.net, and up in the left-hand corner, you'll see the registration. Click that. This box pops up. You put in your call sign, your password, re-enter it, your email address, and then you have to put in something to prove you're not a robot, and voila, you're registered. Now, in N1MM, when you go and set up your contest, and you're opening up a new log, and you're setting up the contest, what operator category you're in, power, things like that, that is what N1MM is going to send to cqcontest.net behind the scenes. So it's automatically going to put you in the right category. So in order to flip the switch, you just go into your configure section, and in the towards the far right, you see score reporting. Click on that, and you're just going to want to check the report score to the server, and then it gives you a drop down of which live contest servers to pick. And of course, there's only one, cqcontest.net. Put in your call sign and your password. Now, it's automatically set up to report your score, updated every 5 minutes. You can make that 10 minutes, 1 minute, whatever you want. We like 3 minutes. And if you don't like to show your hand, you can check that exclude breakdown box, so people will only see your score and your mults and not the band breakdown. And for any of you out there using WriteLog, they also have a place for this as well. When you go in to set up your contest, you'll see that box there where you can report to the score server. Pick from the drop down. Pick how often you put in your password. Pick how often you want it to update. You can also exclude your band breakdown there if you want as well too. So once you get this set up, it's really easy. You don't have to do anything going forward, and everything happens behind the scenes. You don't even know what's going on, as long as it's a contest that cqcontest.net supports. So you can turn it into a real live race. And you know what? I kind of predict that this is going to be the wave of the future with the way technology is going. I think doing a contest, submitting your score, they run them through the log checkers, and 8 months later, you know if you won. I think that's going to be a thing of the past. I think this live contest score is going to catch on, and I think contests in the future, maybe 5 to 10 years, will be live. You'll know when the contest is over who won, and all your cues will be confirmed, kind of like LOTW, right then and there during the contest. So it's really a lot of fun, and I think it's really improved our score. So I hope you guys try it. A lot of contests coming up this weekend and next, if you want to show that slide, Brian. So if you want to try out the contest server, you can. Now, CQcontest.net doesn't do every contest, but that first one there, Scandinavian Activity Contest, they are going to be doing that one. So if you want to try it out, get on this weekend playing Scandinavian Activity Contest, and make sure you check that score reporting box, get all set up, and your scores will be in there live with everybody else in the contest. Also going on, we have the Arizona and the Pennsylvania QSO party this weekend. And for those of you that like PSK 31, they have the 160-meter Great Pumpkin Sprint this weekend for you guys. Next weekend, it's going to be busy on the airwaves. New York, Iowa, South Dakota, and Illinois, they're all having state QSO parties. Also, the ARRL School Roundup is next weekend, and Worked All Germany, and that Worked All Germany contest, that also will be on CQcontest.net, and of course CQ Worldwide coming up at the end of the month, which will also be on CQcontest.net. So hopefully I'll see a lot of your call signs in there on some of these contests, because it really does make it a lot more fun. And that's all I've got for contests, so let's take a listen to this week's DX Report.
Well, fall is here. That means DX is in the air. So some activity coming up. Right now, they just finished Solomon Islands, and they're heading over to Tuamotu, and they're going to be there October 4th through the 21st. So it's semi-rare, so you want to go ahead and get on the air with that. Also, Central Kiribati, number 16 on the most wanted list. Those guys are going for about 6 weeks. Now, the people on this island have no form of emergency communications, so this team is going to help set up emergency communications for them. That's why they're going to be there for 6 weeks. Now, if you want to, you can track their progress. They got a little waylaid due to bad weather, but it looks like they're only a day or two out. And if you want to track it, you just have to go to their QRZ page and click there. Also coming up, we have Nigeria. This gentleman's going to be there from the 2nd through the 20th. He's going to be working, so he'll be on mostly on his evenings, 20 and CW and sideband. Also, Easter Island is coming up the 14th through the 17th. That's only a few days, so you better get him quick while he's there. And that's it for this week's edition of DX Files.
And I did have something else that I was going to report on for DX this week, but unfortunately I had to pull it. And that was, I'm not sure if you guys know, Tom Callis, Kilo Charlie Zero Whiskey, which looks like K-Cow when you see it spelled out. He started this Cows Across the World adventure. And he started off in American Samoa. He was Kilo Hotel 8 Stroke, Kilo Charlie Zero Whiskey. And then he moved on to Kiribati, Tango 30 COW, and he was there on the 24th. Now, he was going to be operating through the 24th, but on September 28th, his stuff got stolen. And I'm not just talking his radio and his amp. They stole his radio's amp, his coax, antennas, computers, his clothes, toiletries, shoes. They even took all his food. They took everything. Luckily, his bank was able to wire him funds, so he was able to eat. But unfortunately, he's not going to be able to go on to the Solomons and Tokelau and Bangladesh. So the cows are QRT. So that's kind of sad. And hot off the presses, for those of you who DX, you probably know the biggest DXer of them all, Marty Lane, OH2BH. He has probably operated from more DXCC entities than most of us have in our logs. Well, his birthday's coming up along with two of his Finnish friends. So the three of them decided to get the Northern European Party Wagon on the road. They're going to be doing a BODA, Birthdays on the Air. So they're going to be going to the Aland Islands, Market Reef, the Azore Islands, the first 2 weeks of October, then come back home for a little bit. And then they'll be in November, they're going to be in Antigua and Dominica. And as And you know who else is on the air? Ham Nation. As Gordo mentioned, we're on 5085 100K transmitter. So we're on shortwave. So if you can't catch us on your computer, maybe you can look on the shortwave 5085. So also, big news. It's sort of historic. PY1 MHZ made a 2-meter contact with V51 PJ. Now that is Rio de Janeiro, Brazil to Namibia. 6,000 kilometers. That's the first 2-meter QSO. They made 2 QSOs actually, October 4th, the last half hour of the 4th, and then the first half hour of the 5th. So they made 2 contacts crossing the Atlantic Ocean on 144.250 using WSJT. So that's pretty cool. And that's all I've got for DX and contesting this week. So I'm going to pass it over to Amanda.
Thank you, Val. Don't go away. I have a couple questions for you, actually. The first question comes from WB3BJU Don. He says, if you participate in one of the QSO parties and not looking to make any scores, how does that impact those you made a QSO with that are looking for scores, basically?
Well, QSO parties are they're more lenient. They don't really wash the logs, so to speak. By washing the logs, a lot of these big contests, they take everybody's logs and put them in and make sure if you say you work so-and-so that you're in their log and they're in your log. So QSO parties are a little more lenient, so you're not going to affect that. But it's just good practice. If you're not going to turn a log in, work at least 2 people in that contest, preferably 3, just so you're not unique to just one log. That way they'll see, especially not so much QSO parties, a lot of them don't wash the logs, but other contests where they may put them in software and check them out. So just good practice to do 3 QSOs. So if it works on 1 person in Pennsylvania, might as well work 2 more.
And that's probably pretty easy. So thanks, Don, for the question. Thanks, Val. One other question, is DXing down a bit because of the sunspot cycle? I can speak. Sunspot cycle right now.
Well, it seems like it. It's just harder to work things on the higher bands, but obviously 80 and 160 are rocking and rolling, and 40. So, yeah, I mean, I've only started DXing in 2011, so it was coming up on the solar maximum. So this is my first time getting ready to hit the down cycle, so I'm going to learn with you guys as we go. I've never really DX'd or been on HF during solar minimum, so I'll find out the hard way just like everybody else.
Okay, and we can't wait for the next DX contest at the end of October, so I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, that one's going to be fun, but might as well get out and practice with Scandinavian activity. That'll be fun this weekend.
First, okay, before I get to the other questions, you guys, I'll go ahead and talk about the fire here in Colorado. And before that, even reading the news and reading about how many people are getting evacuated in the Florida and South Carolina area, I cannot even imagine as an Aries group what it takes for the logistics of helping with that situation. Godspeed to all of you guys out there in Florida and South Carolina right now. We actually have a good friend, Lou, KA4 EPS, who was out here in Colorado. He has a second home here. Flew home today to buckle up his house in Deerfield Beach, Florida. And I thought, why go back? Just stay here and enjoy this, because you don't want to go back into that. But anyhow, his home was a big concern to him. So your guys and your Aries teams out there, good luck. I know you're going to be very busy come this weekend. So, all right, let's talk about the fire here in Colorado. Let me pull something up here. Sorry, I had some notes in front of me. Anyhow, the fire started Monday, October 3rd, about 2 p.m. Now, some of you guys aren't aware of what a red flag warning is. Everybody in the western United States is. A red flag warning is a fire weather warning letting you know that there's going to be extremely dry conditions with extremely high winds. That means no matter what you do could possibly cause a fire. Don't grill, don't burn, nothing. Don't use a 4-wheeler if it's our 2-stroke engine, things like that. Just don't do it. So anyhow, the fire started, and it started at 7 to 10 acres, like most fires here do. Grew to 200 acres pretty rapidly. A couple hundred people were evacuated. Then they realized guess what? In a few more hours, this could cut off our main roads into this town of Beulah, Colorado. So we're going to evacuate the whole town. So about 1,500 people have been evacuated. And right now, as we have it, it's 5,227 acres that are burned. And some really great news out of from the news agencies tonight is that we found out that it's 50% contained. Earlier today, it was 0%. So we're really glad to hear that number. We'd love to hear those numbers. Anyhow, Aries has been highly involved in helping with the communications from the Red Cross shelter. They've been talking directly to the Pueblo EOC, which is where most of the coordination is coming from. And Aries has a nice room there. And if I would have had more time, you guys, I would have had some pictures of that. It's a pretty nice operation there for sure. Anyhow, we're taking the head counts, meal counts, things like that. You know, your typical Red Cross operations. Not only that, now we've been requested to go out to the mobile command tomorrow. And we're taking our QRV. Brian, did you find that picture? There we go.
Oh, wow.
That is snazzy, right? That's our QRV that we keep parked here at the house, and that's kind of the southern response vehicle here in Colorado. We have about 3 sections to Colorado. We have northern Colorado, which is from North Colorado Springs up to the Wyoming border, southern Colorado, south of Colorado Springs to the New Mexico border, and then the western slope, which is anything west of the Front Range. So we are the southern action team, basically, Jeff and I, let's put it that way. So we take this vehicle out whenever they need, first of all, good PR, which is always helpful to get areas out there and let agencies know that we're here to help. And B, when there's an actual response needed, this is going to be the first vehicle that comes out rather than the huge communications trailer that has 4 stations in it. That takes a little bit more logistics to get it down and moving. So what we're doing tomorrow is we're going to be providing, actually, this is pretty cool, you guys. We have some cell phone extenders in that thing and some satellite internet. So we're going to be helping them out with that because obviously with fires in a small area like this, it takes out power everywhere for hours. And right now they've been out without power for maybe 30 hours, and power has just been restored. A lot of internet and cell phone is not. All of your cell phone towers and things like that do have generators, and they are made to last 2 weeks. But when you have heavy usage on those cell phone towers, it's really not that long. It's only a couple days. You guys in Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, you guys are going to learn this very soon. So pay attention that when they tell you your cell phone coverage might be up and running, it might not be as soon as you think it's going to be. And also with that, people like Verizon have been asked to come out here and extend the cell phone coverage. But guess what? We have a huge event in southeastern United States. So with Hurricane Matthew coming, they don't want to put any more resources out over here. It's all going to be extended to where the hurricane is coming. So we understand completely. That's why ham radio comes in, and that's why you have these auxiliary communication operators like us that can come in and help fill in some gaps in coverage. So that's what we're doing, you guys. So 6 a.m. tomorrow, Jeff and I will be on the road in that nifty little van and headed down to the Beulah school and helping some emergency responders out. It's gonna be a great knowledge. Every time we get to do this way, instead of just using ham radio, it's quite a bit of fun and a learning experience for all of us. So stay tuned. I'll keep you guys informed. All right, let's move on to some other questions. Gordo, I have a couple for you. From Mike. Your favorite guy, VE3MIC, says, here's a challenging balun question for Gordo. There seems to be a lot of discrepancy concerning 4-to-1 baluns wound on a single toroid core. Is this really a balun or just a 4-to-1 impedance matching transformer? Some say separate cores must be used. Some say it can be done with a single toroid. What do you think, Gordo?
Well, that's a good argument that Mike brings up. And I would really have to ask Emmett, who is with Radio Waves, who does the winding of his 4-to-1 balun for his Carolina Wyndhams, what his thought on that. So, Mike, I'll tell you what. I will find out and try and get back to you because that's a great question that I think only a real expert's going to be able to answer.
Okay, we'll look forward to that expert's answer. There was a follow-up question, Gordo. I'll go ahead and throw it out to you as well, and maybe you'll have to research a bit more. ZL1KFN, Kevin, he made sure I said Zed, so I did. To follow up on from Mike, what is the best option for a balun current or voltage, and why?
I've been told that the current balun is going to provide a cold coax below the balun to the transceiver, and it's going to provide the most anticipated distribution of voltage and currents on each side of the dipole. So I would have to say the current balun versus the voltage. The current balun seems to be preferred for the best look technically of how that antenna is going to radiate and how to keep any circulating currents off of the coax that would radiate back into the shack, which we don't want.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Gordo. Next question is for George, and this comes from Randy, K7AGE. Any tips for crimping twisted wires like used on mic cables for RJ45s?
Any tips on crimping on the connectors for those? Basically the same thing that I showed you right here, except you don't have to untwist them. You just got to get them in the right order. And before you cut the old connector off, look real careful to make sure that you've got your wiring colors written down, because it won't be the same on all rigs. Cut a little more of the insulation or the jacket back than you need. Get those wires working the way you want them in the correct order. Hold them real tight, cut it off to the right length, and when you push it in the connector, put some force down on the wire so that it's kind of holding it in the order that you've got them. Slide them right on up and crimp them. If you're using a shielded cable, for like mic audio, you can get shielded Cat5 cable. It's a little harder to find. What I have done is actually taken some other shielded cable. You got to get something with a really small conductor, and usually the shield is, in a lot of cases, is too big to slide up in there. So I'll take another little piece of wire and solder it onto the end of my cable, and then use that to slide up into the connector. And you can usually get them to work out okay. They make it look easy when you buy a microphone out of the box and they've got it all on there, but they're working with wire that's the right size. So as a matter of fact, I've got to redo mine right now, my IC 7000. I've noticed the jacket starting to split a little bit. So if I come up with any good tips on that, I'll let you know.
Thank you very much, George. We appreciate it. I just have one announcement for tonight. Short Rib, Chris, KD8VYJ wanted us to know that they're having an ARIS, an amateur radio on the ISS Contact Saturday. And you can find out more information at www.aris.org. Or you can also listen on Echolink and IRLP, because it will be streamed on those. And what we've decided is the Echolink one would probably be the AMSAT server. So listen up, you guys. That's always cool. I'd love to. I've never actually listened to any of the students make contacts with the International Space Station, but I think it's pretty fun. That's everything I've got tonight. I'll send it back to you, George. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Amanda. Some good questions there tonight. And thanks, everyone, for being with us tonight. And those of you listening on WTWW 5085. I've got it on over here. It's kind of been up and down on me tonight. It's coming in right now. I hear Amanda on there. And those listening on there, there's going to be some delay, because, there's some delay between what we're doing live and what you pick up on the internet stream. So it'll be the same thing on WTWW. But a great way to listen to the program, and we hope to pick up a lot of new listeners that way. And thanks, Ted, and everyone at WTWW for putting us on the air. We love it. Gordo, any final words before we go tonight?
No, I think it's great. And, it's wonderful that the chat room ask these great questions. Some of them we've got to go to the real experts. In fact, I never trust a ham that knows everything, but I will go with an expert that knows something. So, very 73 to you all. Again, those of you on the East Coast, our thoughts and prayers are with you all. And again, if you have outbound traffic, we'll be monitoring around 14,325, either higher or lower. So just place a call for any station for outbound traffic, and we'll be happy to handle it. Best success through these troubled times this weekend with that hurricane. Back to you, George.
Thanks. Good information to know there, Gordo. Val, any final words from you tonight?
I just wanted to say, too, I think that the shortwave thing is just so cool because most people who got into ham radio, that's really where they got started, listening to shortwave radio. So hopefully we'll get some new hams out of this, and it's just very cool that they're doing this.
Yeah, and, most we can run is 1,500 watts, but, hey, we can kind of piggyback there and run 100 kW on Wednesday nights. So that's a lot of fun. Any final words from you, Amanda? And you'll be, I guess, headed out to the fire site tomorrow night, huh?
No, tomorrow morning, like super early.
Morning.
6 a.m. Yeah. So, yep, we'll be doing that. A couple other things want to mention. Don't forget to find us on Facebook. It's fun for you guys to share your photos on projects you're working on or keep up to date with what we're announcing. Follow us and Twit News is sometimes put up there as well. And it's anyone's allowed to post. We love to comment, things like that. So also, let's go over the nets tonight. We have 7190 for the 40-meter net, way far away from the hurricane net, you guys. So thank you for that. Also, 14268 is going to be the 20-meter net. Let's hope we still have some propagation for that to happen. 14 Charlie for the D-Star net, and also on Echolink will be on Dewdrop N. So hope to hear you guys all on those nets tonight. That's all I got, George. Back to you.
All right. Thanks, Amanda. Next week, Randy K7AGE is going to be at the Twitch studios hanging out with Brian and the crew there. So he'll have to give us, we'll have to get a report from him on what the new studio looks like because none of us have been there yet, so that'll be a lot of fun. Well, thanks for being here tonight, everyone. Great to have you with us. And Bob should be back with us again next week, as well as Don, too. 7-3.
7-3. Happy birthday, Bob. Happy birthday in CW? Anyone? Come on, George. I know you can do that.
Here we go.
Happy birthday, dear Robert. Happy birthday
to you.
To you.
Many more.
And many more.